My iPhone 17 is a tool for productivity, a content creation machine, how I manage tons of communications every day, and where I find entertainment. And I'm about to walk you through my entire iPhone setup, from how I manage everything from a single home screen, use the Today view to launch dozens of shortcuts, how I've customized my control center with smart home actions and third-party apps that can help me easily frame screenshots, search my favorite movies and more, and all the focus modes I use on a daily basis to help me stay organized. This is a walkthrough of my ultimate iPhone 17 setup. And let's talk about the first thing you see when you wake your iPhone, which is the lock screen. Now I have multiple lock screen and home screen pairs. Many of them are tied to a focus mode, which iOS 26 is still a little buggy, let's be honest. And then I have some photo lock screen, which I'll switch to on the weekends. This is my main lock screen, which I use during the workday, Monday through Friday. I have my next event right here, and that's actually powered by the Fantastical widget. I use Fantastical for all my events, and I love that I can customize this to both match the calendar set that's currently active and schedule that in the app, and I can control what goes there with focus filters and Fantastical. Fantastical also has multiple widgets, that's the up next event there, but you can also choose from the full month calendar, adding a new event to Fantastical, and more. Next to my Fantastical up next event is a time zone clock. I work with a lot of people in a different time zone, and I like being able to quickly see what time it is there. Then I have weather conditions because, well, Florida. It's also up here next to the day and time, but I like seeing the chance of precipitation right here. Also, I like keeping my work lock screen as a nice gradient. This is from Basic Apple Guy, linked down in the description, rather than something busy, because I will get notifications throughout the day and I want to be able to easily see those against the wallpaper. Yes, I still keep flashlight and camera just on the lock screen because I have lots of other places to run shortcuts, and I use the control center for a lot of third-party actions. Now, like I mentioned, I use a single home screen. If I swipe to the right, I have my app library, and if I swipe to the left, I have a bunch of shortcuts and other widgets we'll get to in a minute. Now, I made it the clear icons because it's iOS 26, but I don't typically run that way. If you tap and hold and then tap edit, you can customize your home screen. That's the clear version, but I usually go with just the regular color version. It really helps me distinguish apps at a glance. Now up here I have some widget stacks, and we'll get to those in a minute, and this is also a widget stack that we'll talk about. When it comes to apps, I won't go into super detail, but you might wonder why I have two to-do apps here. And so real quick, the top row is pretty self-explanatory. I did swap out Perplexity for the camera app on my home screen because I've been using that for more online searches rather than Google. I do have a ton of smart home devices, which I also control using my control center. We'll get to that in a moment. And of course, Bears on the home screen, that's my default note app for everything. I do writing there, video planning, and more. I do prioritize Threads as a social network, plus Safari and messages at the bottom. And for the past couple months, I've been tracking food with Food Noms. They had a wonderful iOS 26 redesign, and I do need to log my cold brew with protein for this morning. And because I'm in Food Noms multiple times a day, it's now earned a place here in the dock. Now this is my home screen for work hours Monday through Friday. And you can create multiple home screens and then hide and activate them via focus modes. So I'll show you the other home screens I use for filming, for the evenings and weekends, and then I'll also build home screens like these. I have a video coming soon featuring 30 plus apps that were updated for iOS 26, so get subscribed, that's coming soon. But I created these home screens with all the app icons there, but I don't want to have to swipe through that every day. So once you've created multiple home screens, you can tap and hold on your home screen, tap on the dots here on the bottom, and then you can show and hide those home screens by checking or unchecking. You can also delete an entire home screen by tapping the minus icon on any one of them. But now let me show you two other lock screen home screen combinations that I use for focus modes. I'm going to swipe down, and here in the control center, I can manually switch to one of my focus modes. And let's go to the filming focus mode. I have this activate through a shortcut, which I'll show you that in a moment. And whenever I film my phone, whether I'm doing a shortcuts video or a tips video, this is the home screen that I prefer. For one, I'll swap out the apps I'm using in the video down here at the bottom right. This way I'm not having to reach all the way over the phone to tap an app. Also, when it comes to the lock screen, I have nothing on it, no widgets or anything, because whatever the video topic is, I want that to be the focus. So I keep a clean lock screen and then a pretty empty home screen. And once again, it's the only home screen that's active in this focus mode. These apps change depending on what I'm making a video on. And for this widget, it's of course my podcast, Primary Technology. If I'm going to show anything in a video or have some kind of Easter egg, I want it to be my podcast or something else I'm working on. And when it comes to stacks or widgets, you can actually edit the widget, and the Apple Podcast widget now lets you choose not only the up next episode you might have, but you could choose something from your library or just have a specific show. And so that's what that widget is on my filming home screen. It just shows my show, and that's always going to be there when I enter the filming focus mode. Today view, of course, stays the same as well. And two other lock screen home screen combinations. I have a focus mode that activates every evening, which mutes a lot of work notifications, and one for the weekend that allows a different set of notifications. For my evening lock screen and home screen, it does go into dark mode automatically at sunset. You'll see some different apps there, which I'll get to in a second. And for the lock screen, I have some different widgets up here. One, this is Any List, which you can actually put whatever meal plan you have set up. This focus mode activates around 6 p.m., so seeing what's for dinner makes sense. I do have the Perplexity widget here, so if I want to do a quick internet search or my kids ask me a question, I can just launch it from the lock screen. And then right here, this is actually the sofa widget. If it's in the evening and we have time to watch a show or a movie, here I have my Sofa Smart List, which you can actually use that widget to launch a specific list. And these are movies and shows that I've tagged for the entire family to watch soon. So if we have some time, I can quickly access that sofa list right there. I did an entire video walking through Sofa and how I use it. I'll link it above and down in the description. So some of the same apps that I have on my main Workday home screen, but I do use a Widgetsmith widget here to show a specific photo. I like having a family photo there, so I can select one photo using the Widgetsmith app, and then you can have different photos for different size widgets with Widgetsmith. I also have quick access to my car controls in this widget stack. I have my AnyList app right here, maybe add something to the grocery list, or if I need to go to store to pick something up. And I also have the ChatGPT widget there if I want to do something with that. I use Perplexity and ChatGPT in different ways. If you want a whole video on that, let me know down in the comments. And then for this widget stack, in my evening focus mode, I have my Up Next podcast, my monthly calendar for Fantastical, just so I can see the dates at a glance if we're planning something as a family. And I also have my Apple Card wallet widget right below that. Now I actually use the same home screen, but a different wallpaper for the weekend. So once we get into the weekend, this focus mode automatically activates, and I'll get into all the details in a minute. I've gone back to my Pillars of Creation wallpaper. This is from NASA. I'll link that down below as well. I was doing some battery tests, but I don't typically have lock screen widgets here. That's just there because I was testing those MagSafe batteries. Same home screen, same widget stacks, just a different wallpaper. So we can go back to our default wallpaper. I'll turn off focus modes here. We're back to the Workday setup. And real quick, I forgot to mention why I have things and reminders here. Basically, things I use for project management and for work tasks. During the day, when I go in and see actually what I need to do for work, I'll go here. I have a bunch of areas set up both for work, personal, creator type tasks, all of that. And then I actually use reminders for planning videos. I was using Notion and I still use that to plan Primary Technology, my tech podcast, subscribe above, but I've been using reminders for actually planning my videos. I like the Kanban style view here in reminders. It allows me to quickly add things, feels faster than Notion. Plus I can add URLs to a reminder and even link a Bear note to a reminder. For instance, I'll go to Bear, and let's say I want to link this Bear note to that Apple reminder. Well, I can just tap copy link, and that will deep link to that specific note in Bear. Then I go over to reminders, and if I paste that in the URL field here for the reminder task, now I can quickly get to that Bear note just by tapping here, and it'll bring me directly to the Bear note. Next, we'll talk about widget stacks and control center, which I have a lot of home screen scenes and third-party actions that are really useful. But first, if you're going to be spending time customizing your iPhone, you need to keep it charged up. And the best way to do that is with today's sponsor, Baseus. You know from my other videos, I've been loving Baseus chargers, and this is their new 67-watt Pico Go chargers. 67 watt is enough to fast charge a MacBook Air, plus it has 2 USB-C ports and a USB-A port, so you can charge multiple devices. Foldable prongs means it's super compact. You can see the size next to an iPhone 17 Pro Max there. Super lightweight, and Baseus' proprietary temperature control system means this is going to stay low temperature even when you're fast charging your devices. And you can see it is way smaller even though this is still 67 watts just like this bigger one. And their 67 watt charger is on sale for $30. And Baseus also has a 45 watt charger, 2 USB-C ports on the back, perfect to charge your iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, or AirPods. Super compact, especially since you get 2 USB-C ports, and it still has Baseus' proprietary cooling system, so it's not going to get hot. And this last accessory, I didn't even have to open their box because this was something I had bought myself. I've been using the Baseus Pico Go MagSafe battery charger for months now, and you can see in my MagSafe battery video, it's one of my favorites. Not only does it have the built-in kickstand, but it is a super compact design, perfect for any size iPhone. You can see the battery charge with the lights here at the bottom, and it still has a USB-C port here so you can charge 2 devices like your iPhone and AirPods or Apple Watch all together. This is one of my top choices for MagSafe batteries, and it's on sale right now. So stay charged up with their 45 and 67 watt power bricks here. Links to all of these down in the description, and my thanks to Baseus for sponsoring this video. All right, next up, let's talk about these widget stacks on my main work home screen. I do have the weather up here. It's Florida, it rains, like to see that right up here, and you'll see that little graph once precipitation is imminent. Underneath that, I have my Fantastical widget, and I love this medium-sized widget because I get the full month view, which you can still navigate here in the widget. I can browse to a different month, plus I see my up next events right here on the right. And this will be customized by the active calendar set in Fantastical, which if you didn't know, in the Fantastical app, you can choose what calendar set is active, my main calendars, work mode, and you can also create calendar sets, which can include calendars across multiple accounts like your Apple iCloud calendars, Gmail, and more. And you can choose when you want this calendar set to be active, which will then dictate the widgets that you see in Fantastical, what you see in the app, your Apple Watch, and more. Then underneath the Fantastical widget, I do have one that's fun. This is the Showcase app. I love their medium-sized widget, and you can add movies that you're looking forward to releasing soon. And the Showcase app, you can add multiple. You say I have Tron Ares, Wicked for Good, and this is going to give you a countdown to the days. You can also see what movies are available from ones that you had added to the app, and I just like how that medium-sized widget displays up here. And underneath that, I have a Find My for specific contacts medium widget. For the small stack widget here in the bottom right, I do have the up next episode. That would be the one you're actively playing or the one that's up next in your queue. I still have Primary Technology as a hard-coded show if I ever want to show that on a video. I have my car controls under that, any list under that, and I have ChatGPT in there as well. Now, an important detail when it comes to widget stacks, I prefer to have Smart Rotate and Suggestions off. I like it being very predictable what widget I'm going to see, and if I swipe to a different one, that it stays there. It doesn't automatically change. Smart Rotate will try to decide what widget you want to see at what time, so it might change throughout the day. You might prefer that depending on what widgets you have set up, and widget suggestions might put a widget that you don't actually have in there. And smart widgets will actually add widgets randomly to this stack that it thinks you want to see. I don't prefer to have that on either. So both of those settings are turned off for both of those widget stacks. Next, let's look at Control Center. One thing I did is remove that large square connectivity. You can always add it back, and if you didn't know, once you go into edit mode for Control Center, you can resize a lot of these actions. Not that one apparently. But I found this to be too many taps away from what I wanted to do. So I broke out the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, orientation lock, and silent mode and keep those controls up there. I still keep brightness and volume here in Control Center. I have my focus modes that I can quickly launch right there. Then I have a bunch of smart home scenes and controls. Some ceiling fans. I have some scenes here for work. Like when I'm ready to film, I have a control for that. When I'm getting ready for work, a good night scene, all of that here in Control Center. I also have my garage door as a control here because I find that's something I control pretty often. So I have a garage door specifically and add event to Fantastical also right here in Control Center. Then it jumps right to the app. Still have calculator, low power mode, a quick action to settings, which you can use a shortcut that quickly opens any app you want. I do go into settings a lot, but I don't prefer to have it on my main home screen, so I just keep it here in Control Center. Screen mirroring I use pretty often, flashlight, screen recording, set white point, which can actually lower the brightness of your phone, even if your brightness is turned all the way down. I do have a camera launch here. I use the camera control now to launch the camera most of the time, but I just like having it in a lot of places. This way I can get to it quickly. Apple TV remote and alarms, and then these two controls right here are actually third-party apps. This magnifying glass is actually Call Sheet, so if I want to find out information about a movie, I can quickly search and then jump to that movie's info, whether it's cast info or crew. If I want to start watching this movie right now and then see what time it will actually finish, you can just tap the runtime and it will show you the time it will end if you start watching now. Plus that has links to things like parental guidance, where to stream it, Letterboxd. This is a way better experience than IMDb. So if I want to quickly search, I can do that in Control Center. And then this right here is an action from ShareShot. It is my favorite screenshot framing tool. So if I take a screenshot, well, if I want to frame it, all I have to do is swipe to Control Center, tap the ShareShot action, and it's going to quickly frame the last screenshot I took automatically. Then with ShareShot, I can go in and change the design of the background, I can change the format, and it has frames for all your Apple devices. You can change the aspect ratio here, lots of different themes here, or if you just want a PNG with a transparent background because you want to overlay it on something else, you can do that too. Love ShareShot, it's what I use to frame all my screenshots, and that action that can just live up here in the Control Center is super convenient. Now in the Control Center, I also have an entire page of smart home controls, which I do use pretty often, the Now Playing widget. I leave this extra connectivity settings here in case I need to get to AirDrop or hotspot quickly, and I do have this extra page of controls, and I'm typically just playing with things here or I'm using it in a video. I most of the time stay on that first Control Center, the favorites actions. And the last two things is the Today View and Focus modes. So if I swipe to the left, this is where I keep all the shortcuts I run on a regular basis. Some shortcuts just launch apps, like if I need to get to my iCloud passwords, that's actually a shortcut that I can just run quickly from the Today View. I have some smart home controls and other shortcut actions, like if I want to quickly share the latest episode of Primary Technology, I can tap that, gets the links to the latest episode in Apple Podcasts, gets my Spotify show link, and the direct link to the latest YouTube episode, has that there at the top, and then I can type something out and share this on social media. And that opened up in the Drafts app. That's where you can see all the previous drafts for different episode posts. That's a really useful shortcut. I have two shortcuts here for when I'm recording a video and when I'm done recording. For instance, when I tap recording video, it sets my filming focus mode, brings me to the auto lock display settings so I could tap never, and then brings me over to the display auto brightness and accessibility so I can toggle that off. This way I know my screen is at the perfect brightness the whole time. It's not going to change because auto brightness is off, and auto lock is also disabled, so my screen is not going to go to sleep. Then when I'm done recording, I can tap done recording flow, brings me back to those same setting screens, raises the brightness, and more. Done for the day, we'll run a HomeKit scene, and that will turn off my whole studio. Some other shortcuts that I use pretty much on a regular basis, like for Primary Tech Daily, pet-related things, car-related shortcuts, and then underneath all the shortcuts that I use pretty often, I have my Food Noms large widget, so I can quickly log things that I've previously eaten. Really convenient to have that there. I do have a battery widget all the way down here if I want to see where my AirPods or AirPods case is at. I have the Fantastical widget in one more place just so I can always see what my up next event in. Don't want to miss a meeting. I also have things and reminders small widgets here, just so if at a glance I want to see what my tasks are for that day, I can see that here. And that's pretty much my today view. And finally, I'll show you how I set up my focus modes. You see how it switched to my filming home screen, so I have just the apps I need, and settings is right here. So if you've never used focus modes, highly recommend. I have an entire walkthrough. I'll link that above and down in the description. But focus is really powerful. When you scroll down, you can see focus here. There's usually some default focus modes, but I would recommend really customizing these. Start with just a few. If you just want an evening or weekend focus mode, you can do that. But for instance, here's my evening focus mode. Here I can decide what people will notify and contact me or what notifications can break through. And if you have Apple Intelligence, you can see if Apple Intelligence will send you notifications that are actually important. I do find that when it breaks through, those are actually important. You can choose to hide notification badges. Even when a focus mode is not active, you can hide them when you're in a focus mode. Highly recommend that. I choose to always silence notifications, and you can also choose to dim the lock screen, which I use for my sleep focus mode. That's something that's built in, and you can activate that in the Health app. Under that, you can customize what screen, lock screen and home screen are active during that focus mode. You can even choose what Apple Watch face changes. Now, I actually change my Apple Watch based on specific times of day using shortcuts automations, but you can choose a specific Apple Watch face per focus mode as well. Underneath that, you'll see Smart Activation. That will try to anticipate whether you have an active event or something else and activate automatically. I prefer to set it on a hard schedule. So I have my evening focus mode active at 6 p.m. and that goes to midnight, which is then when the sleep focus mode activates. Then you'll see focus filters, and this is where it gets really powerful. One, I have my message focus filter where only contacts in this focus will show up in my messages conversation. That's that filter by people list. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. That also applies to mail. I can choose what specific mail accounts are active during a focus mode. And this is that Fantastical focus filter where just the calendar set that I specify is active during this focus as well. And there's even more focus filters for things like always on display, third-party apps like Noir for dark mode. You can choose 1Password vaults that are only active during certain focus modes. Pause listening history during a focus mode, choose a Safari tab group, and device settings like this, like low power mode, silent mode, and more. Focus filters are super powerful, and there's a lot of third-party apps that support them. And so that's my evening focus, and then I just have slightly different tweaks for my weekend focus, for vacation, for evening, and more. I still have a do not disturb focus, which just turns everything off. I'll use that if I'm going to be using my iPhone to actually film something. Apple Intelligence also adds a reduce interruptions focus mode. I don't use that super often. I usually use the ones that I have scheduled. Now, I also have share across devices, meaning when I activate a focus on my iPhone, it activates on my iPad, my Mac, and all my Apple devices. And I also choose to share focus status, which in your text messages, it will tell people that you're in a focus mode, not a specific one, but it'll tell you why you might be a little slower to respond. Now I'm going to switch into my weekend focus mode so you can see what some of those focus filters actually do. So I'll go to my weekend focus, and now if I open my messages, you'll see only specific people are shown that I've added in the contacts for that focus. And then at the top, you'll see this is filtering by focus. And if I want to quickly turn that off and see text from other people that are not in my focus mode, you can do that here. The same is true for mail. Focus mode really helps me cut down on distractions on the weekends and in the evenings. Highly recommend you try it out. Again, I'll link my video walkthrough in the description if you want to learn how to set those up. And that's how I've set up everything on my new iPhone 17 Pro Max, which if you want to watch my review of the 17 Pro Max or my review on the iPhone Air, I'll link those videos above. And I also did a video on macOS shortcuts automations, which is new in macOS Tahoe. I'll actually link that one right over here because there are some powerful new automations, especially ones powered with the transcribe action and Apple Intelligence on Mac specifically. It's awesome, you should check it out. And get subscribed and hit that like button. More tips, videos, walkthroughs, and reviews coming here on the channel. And if you want to join my shortcuts community, learn more about automations, and get access to my custom shortcuts GPT, priority shortcuts requests, where I build your shortcuts for the channel, check out create.beard.fm. Over 3,000 people have joined that community, and a bunch have become paid members, and I have some exciting things planned for there, like live streams and more. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.